Picture this: a chest of gold, untouched for centuries, buried beneath layers of earth and time. Or perhaps an entire room, walls shimmering with amber, vanishing without a trace during the chaos of war. These aren't just stories, they're real treasures lost to history, waiting to be found. From legendary artifacts like the Ark of the Covenant to hoards of pirate gold, the world is full of mysteries that defy explanation. Some were stolen, some hidden, others simply vanished, leaving behind whispers and clues that have tantalized adventurers for generations. Today, we're diving into 25 of the most fascinating lost treasures in history fortunes that could still be out there, just waiting for the right explorer to uncover them. Whether it's the missing crown jewels of Ireland or the fabled gold of the Inca, each of these treasures carries a story, a puzzle, and maybe even a curse. So grab your map and your sense of adventure, because by the end of this journey, you might just be the one to crack the code and find what's been lost. Now let's turn our attention to one of history's most sacred and elusive artifacts, the Ark of the Covenant. This gold-covered chest wasn't just a treasure. It was a divine relic believed to hold the stone tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai. The Ark symbolized God's presence among the Israelites, and its power was said to be terrifying, capable of parting rivers, toppling walls, and even striking down those who dared to touch it without reverence. For centuries, the Ark rested in the heart of Jerusalem's first temple, guarded with utmost secrecy. But fate took a dark turn in the 6th century before the Common Era, when the Babylonian Empire under King Nebuchadnezzar II stormed Jerusalem. The temple was sacked, its treasures looted, and the Ark vanished without a trace. Was it destroyed in the chaos, smuggled away by priests, or perhaps hidden deep beneath the city's ruins? Theories about its whereabouts span continents and centuries. One compelling claim comes from Ethiopia, where the Orthodox Church insists the Ark has been safeguarded for over 2,000 years in the sacred city of Axum. According to tradition, it was brought there by Menelik I, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and remains under the watch of a single guardian monk who dedicates his entire life to protecting it. Then there's the tantalizing possibility that the Ark never left Jerusalem at all. Some scholars and treasure hunters believe it was hidden in a labyrinth of tunnels beneath Temple Mount, sealed away to await a prophesied return. Excavations have been attempted, but politics and religious tensions make the site nearly impossible to explore thoroughly. Others suggest it was taken to Egypt, secreted away by fleeing priests, or even carried off to Europe by crusaders. Yet despite centuries of searching, no concrete evidence has surfaced. The mystery endures, fueling expeditions, inspiring legends, and leaving us to wonder, could the Ark still be out there waiting to be found? Up next, we'll explore another treasure, not of gold, but of knowledge, the lost wisdom of the ancient world, swallowed by flames. But that's a story for another moment. Moving from divine relics to lost wisdom, let's step into the shadows of one of history's greatest intellectual tragedies, the Library of Alexandria. Imagine a place so vast it held the accumulated knowledge of the ancient world, where scholars from every corner of the Mediterranean gathered to debate, discover, and push the boundaries of human understanding. This wasn't just a library, it was the beating heart of antiquity's enlightenment, a beacon of progress in a world still shrouded in mystery. Founded around the 3rd century before the Common Era in Egypt's bustling port city, the library was part of a grand scholarly complex called the Mausoleum, or Temple of the Muses. It wasn't merely a storage place for scrolls. It was an ambitious project to collect every known text, from Greek philosophy to Egyptian astronomy, from medical treatises to epic poetry. Estimates suggest it housed between 400,000 to 700,000 scrolls, a staggering number for the time. Scholars like Euclid, Archimedes, and Eratosthenes walked its halls, shaping ideas that would echo through millennia. But how did this pinnacle of human achievement vanish? the story is as murky as it is heartbreaking. The most infamous account pins the blame on Julius Caesar, who, during his civil war in 48 before the Common Era, set fire to his own ships in Alexandria's harbor. The flames allegedly spread to the city, engulfing parts of the library. Yet historians debate this. Some argue the damage was limited, while others claim the library endured for centuries longer, suffering gradual decline under Roman rule, Christian purges, and finally, the Arab conquest in the 7th century. The truth may never be fully known, but the loss is undeniable. What makes the library's destruction so haunting isn't just the physical loss, but the erased potential. Think of the works of Aristotle, Sappho, or countless others that survive only as fragments or titles. Entire fields of science, literature, and history might have advanced centuries earlier had their content survived. The irony, the library itself likely held clues to its own fate, but those records are now ash. Modern efforts to uncover its legacy are as passionate as they are challenging. Archaeologists have scoured Alexandria for decades, searching for remnants of the library's structure or even scraps of its collection. In 2002, the Bibliotheca Alexandrina opened near the believed original site, a dazzling modern tribute. Yet the question lingers, could any of the ancient scrolls have survived, buried beneath the city or hidden in forgotten vaults? Some speculate that underground chambers or nearby ruins might hold answers, but definitive proof remains elusive. The Library of Alexandria stands as a cautionary tale, a reminder of how fragile knowledge can be. Its ghost whispers to us across time, urging us to preserve, to question, and to never take wisdom for granted. Next, we'll turn to a treasure not of parchment, but of gold and amber, a room so lavish its disappearance became a mystery for the ages, but that's a story for another moment. From the ashes of lost knowledge, we now step into a world of dazzling opulence. Few treasures spark as much intrigue and heartbreak as the legendary Amber Room, often called the eighth wonder of the world. Picture a chamber entirely lined with amber panels, each one intricately carved and backlit by candlelight, so the entire room seemed to glow from within. The amber was framed with gold leaf and decorated with mirrors, gemstones, and mosaics, creating a breathtaking spectacle that left visitors speechless. Crafted in the early 18th century by German and Danish artisans, the Amber Room was originally installed in Berlin's Charlottenburg Palace. But in 1716, it became a diplomatic gift from Prussia's King Friedrich Wilhelm I to Russia's Peter the Great, symbolizing an alliance between the two powers. When reassembled in the Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg, it was expanded, becoming even grander under the eye of Empress Elizabeth. For over 2 centuries, it stood as a jewel of Russian artistry until war tore it from its home. The Nazis, notorious for their systematic looting of art and treasures, targeted the Amber Room during their invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. As German forces advanced, Russian curators tried desperately to dismantle and hide the panels, but the amber was too fragile. Instead, they covered the walls with thin wallpaper, hoping to disguise them. The ruse failed. Within weeks, the Nazis dismantled the entire room, packed it into crates, and shipped it to Königsberg Castle in East Prussia, where it was displayed as a trophy of conquest. Then, as the war turned against Germany, the trail goes cold. In 1945, with Soviet forces closing in, the room was reportedly dismantled again and hidden. Some say it was loaded onto a ship that sank in the Baltic Sea. Others believe it was buried in secret tunnels beneath Königsberg, now Kaliningrad. A few even claim it was destroyed in the Allied bombing raids that reduced the castle to rubble. The truth remains one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles. Decades of searching have turned up tantalizing clues but no definitive answers. In 1997, a single mosaic from the room surfaced in Germany, seized from the family of a soldier involved in its theft. More recently, ground-penetrating radar hinted at hidden chambers beneath a Polish bunker, fueling fresh expeditions. Yet despite these leads, the Amber Room's fate stays shrouded in mystery. The irony: in 2003, a painstaking reconstruction of the Amber Room was completed in the Catherine Palace, a staggering $30 million project that took 24 years. It stands as a tribute to what was lost, but the original's disappearance still haunts historians and treasure hunters alike. Was it smuggled away by a rogue Nazi officer? Does it lie forgotten in some crumbling bunker? The search continues, as captivating as the golden glow of the amber itself. Now, let's set sail for warmer waters, where pirates, betrayal, and a fortune in stolen gold weave the next chapter of vanished treasure. But that's a tale for the open sea. Leaving the golden glow of the Amber Room behind, we now venture into a tale of pirates, betrayal, and a treasure so vast it sparked centuries of obsession. The Treasure of Lima is one of history's most infamous lost fortunes, a hoard so rich it's said to be cursed. Picture this: in the early 19th century, Lima was the heart of Spanish colonial wealth, its churches and mansions overflowing with gold, silver, and precious gems. But as revolutions swept across South America, the city's rulers faced a dire choice: let their riches fall into rebel hands or smuggle them to safety. The solution: load it all onto a single ship. In 1820, the Spanish Viceroy of Lima, José de la Serna, ordered the city's treasures, statues, jewelry, even solid gold church altars, to be packed into crates and entrusted to British Sea Captain William Thompson. His mission was simple: sail the treasure to Mexico, where it could be kept safe for the Spanish crown. But Thompson had other plans. Some say greed got the better of him. Others claim his crew mutinied. Either way, Thompson never made it to Mexico. Instead, he diverted his ship, the Mary Dear, to Cocos Island, a remote speck of land off the coast of Costa Rica. There, according to legend, the treasure was buried in hidden caves or deep jungle ravines. Thompson and his men were eventually captured, but before they were hanged, one sailor reportedly drew a crude map whispering clues to the treasure's location. And so began a frenzy. For over 200 years, adventurers, pirates, and even presidents have hunted for the Treasure of Lima. The most famous seeker was August Gisler, a German explorer who spent 20 years combing Cocos Island in the late 19th century. He found a few gold coins, but never the mother lode. Later, figures like Franklin Roosevelt and actor Errol Flynn funded expeditions lured by tales of cursed gold. Because yes, the treasure supposedly comes with a warning: those who seek it meet misfortune. Skeptics argue the treasure might not exist at all, that Thompson's crew scattered the loot, or that it was recovered long ago in secret. But modern technology keeps the dream alive. In 2017, a team using drones and ground-penetrating radar claimed to find evidence of buried metal on Cocos Island. Yet nothing conclusive has emerged. What makes this story so gripping isn't just the gold, it's the layers of mystery. Was the treasure cursed, or is that just a story to ward off thieves? Did Thompson hide it elsewhere, leaving Cocos Island as a decoy? The answers may never surface, but the hunt continues, as relentless as the tides that crash against Cocos shores. Now, let's turn our attention to a theft closer to home, where royal regalia vanished under the cover of night. But that's a story for another shadowy chapter. Shifting from the high seas to the heart of Dublin, we uncover a heist that shook the British Empire: the audacious theft of the Irish crown jewels. Unlike the Treasure of Lima as pirate lore, this mystery unfolds in the shadowy corridors of power, where politics and betrayal collided in plain sight. The Irish crown jewels weren't just ceremonial ornaments, they were symbols of colonial rule. A dazzling set of star and badge insignias encrusted with rubies, emeralds, and diamonds, gifted by Queen Victoria to the Order of St. Patrick. Valued at millions in today's terms, they were kept under guard in Dublin Castle's Bedford Tower, or so authorities thought. On July 6, 1907, an unthinkable discovery was made. The jewels were gone. The safe had been opened not by force but with a key. Even more shocking, the theft likely happened while the castle's doors were unlocked during a packed social event. The thief or thieves struck with chilling precision, leaving no fingerprints, only whispers. Suspicion fell immediately on the Irish nationalists, who saw the jewels as a hated emblem of British oppression. Yet the investigation spiraled into scandal when attention turned to the castle's own staff. The most notorious suspect was Sir Arthur Vickers, the Ulster King of Arms and keeper of the jewels. A flamboyant figure, Vickers had thrown raucous parties where guests reportedly handled the regalia. Worse, he'd allegedly shared the safe's combination with acquaintances, including a man named Francis Shackleton, brother of the famed explorer Ernest Shackleton. Rumors swirled that Shackleton, deep in debt, masterminded the theft. Others pointed to a covert network of nationalist sympathizers within the castle walls. But with no hard evidence, the case grew cold. Vickers was fired in disgrace while Shackleton vanished into obscurity. The jewels, they simply disappeared. Theories about their fate range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some believe they were smuggled to Europe and sold piece by piece on the black market. Others insist Irish rebels melted them down, destroying the symbols of monarchy in a fiery act of defiance. A persistent legend claims they're hidden in a Dublin vault, waiting for a patriot to reveal them. Over a century later, the mystery endures. In 2018, files released by the British government revealed suspicions of a high-level cover-up, hinting that the truth was buried to protect powerful names. Were the jewels stolen for money, for politics, or both? Unlike pirate gold, this treasure's value wasn't just in gems, but in the explosive secrets it might still hold. Now let's journey from the intrigue of stolen crowns to the shadowy wealth of medieval Europe's most enigmatic order. But that's a story woven with even deeper secrets. From the stolen crowns of Dublin, we now step into the labyrinth of medieval Europe, where faith, power, and gold collided in the rise and fall of the Knights Templar. This warrior monk order wasn't just a religious force, it was a financial empire, and its sudden downfall birthed one of history's most enduring treasure hunts. Founded in 1119 to protect Christian pilgrims in Jerusalem, the Templars amassed staggering wealth. They pioneered early banking, issuing letters of credit for travelers and managing funds for kings. By the 13th century, they owned lands, castles, and even the island of Cyprus, but their fortune vanished overnight. On Friday, October 13, 1307, King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the order, orchestrated their brutal suppression. Templars were arrested, tortured, and burned as heretics, yet when royal forces raided their headquarters, the vaults were nearly empty. Where did the treasure go? Some whisper it was smuggled to Scotland, hidden beneath Rosslyn Chapel's intricate carvings. Others insist it lies in Rennes-le-Château, a sleepy French village where a 19th-century priest, Bérenger Saunière, suddenly grew wealthy. Saunière's renovations of the local church included cryptic symbols, fueling theories he'd found Templar gold, or even the Holy Grail. Modern researchers, though, suggest his money came from selling masses for the dead, not buried treasure. Then there's Oak Island, Nova Scotia. Since the 1700s, explorers have dug for the Money Pit, a booby-trapped shaft where the Templars allegedly hid their hoard. Artifacts like medieval nails and a cryptic stone inscription keep hope alive, but no treasure has surfaced. Skeptics argue the pit is a natural sinkhole, its legends inflated by generations of hopeful diggers. The Templars' legacy is woven with modern conspiracy theories too. From Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code to claims they guarded secret bloodlines of Christ, their story resonates because it blends historical fact with tantalizing gaps. Did they hide gold, relics, or something more profound? After 7 centuries, the only certainty is this: wherever the Templars' treasure lies, it's still rewriting history, one theory at a time. And speaking of hidden fortunes, our next treasure takes us from medieval Europe to the opulent courts of Russia, where imperial extravagance met revolutionary chaos. But that's a tale of lost brilliance waiting to be uncovered. From the shadowy legends of the Knights Templar, we now turn to a gemstone that once dazzled European royalty, the Florentine diamond. This breathtaking 137-carat yellow diamond carried a history as rich and layered as its facets before vanishing into the chaos of World War II. Unearthed in India centuries ago, the Florentine's first documented owner was Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy, who lost it and his life on the battlefield in 1477. The diamond then passed through the hands of Europe's elite. It adorned the crown of the Medici family in Florence, earning its name, and later became a prized possession of the Habsburg emperors in Vienna. For centuries, it glittered at royal ceremonies, a symbol of power and prestige. But history has a way of rewriting fortunes. When World War II erupted, the Habsburg treasures were seized by Nazi forces. The Florentine diamond, like countless artifacts, became a target of Hitler's obsessive plundering. Records show it was taken to Switzerland in 1945, possibly as part of a deal to fund fleeing Nazi officials. And then it disappeared. No insurance claims, no auction records, just silence. Some researchers believe the diamond was recut to disguise its identity. Its brilliant yellow hue split into smaller stones sold on the black market. Others speculate it remains intact, hidden in a private collection or even a government vault. One persistent theory points to South America, where wealthy families with Nazi ties allegedly safeguarded looted treasures. A less glamorous but plausible scenario suggests it was quietly returned to Austria and sits unrecognized in a museum inventory, mislabeled among lesser gems. What makes the Florentine's disappearance so tantalizing is its sheer size and distinct color. A diamond that large and vividly yellow couldn't easily vanish without a trace unless someone powerful wanted it to. Whether held by a reclusive billionaire or a nation unwilling to admit its wartime gains, the Florentine diamond's fate remains one of history's most glittering mysteries. And speaking of lost brilliance, our next treasure takes us deeper into the heart of empire, where Spanish conquistadors and Inca gold collided in a hunt that rewrote the destiny of a continent. But that's a story of greed, betrayal, and a fortune that still lies waiting beneath mountain peaks and sacred waters. Now, let's journey from the glittering mystery of the Florentine diamond to a treasure steeped in conquest and legend: the lost gold of the Inca Empire. When Spanish conquistadors marched into the heart of South America in the 16th century, they weren't just seeking land or power. They were driven by whispers of unimaginable wealth, gold that adorned temples and palaces, and a ransom that would become one of history's most infamous tragedies. The story begins with Atahualpa, the last sovereign Inca emperor. Captured by Francisco Pizarro in 1532, Atahualpa offered a ransom to secure his freedom, a room filled once with gold and twice with silver. For months, treasures flowed in from across the empire: golden statues, intricate jewelry, and ceremonial objects piled high. But despite the delivery, the Spanish executed Atahualpa, melting down the artifacts into ingots and shipping them back to Spain. Yet, legends persist that not all the gold made it to the conquistadors' hands. According to Inca lore, as the Spanish advanced, loyal servants hid vast quantities of gold in secret locations, deep within the Andes beneath the waters of Lake Titicaca, or in labyrinthine tunnels like the fabled cave of the Incas in the Andes. Some tales even speak of a golden chain so massive it took 200 men to carry it, vanished without a trace. For centuries, treasure hunters have scoured these regions, lured by stories of untouched hoards waiting to be discovered. Modern archaeology has added tantalizing clues. In recent years, sonar scans of Lake Titicaca revealed submerged artifacts, including gold and silver offerings, hinting at rituals or hidden treasures. Excavations near Cusco uncovered underground chambers that align with descriptions of Inca hiding places, though no definitive cache has been found. And in 2021, researchers using LiDAR technology identified previously unknown structures in remote parts of the Amazon, suggesting the Inca might have moved treasures deeper into the jungle to evade capture. What makes the lost Inca gold so compelling isn't just its material value, it's the unresolved clash of cultures it represents. The Spanish saw gold as currency to be melted down. To the Inca, it was sacred, a symbol of the sun god Inti. If any significant cache still exists, it wouldn't just be a treasure. It would be a silent testament to a civilization's desperate attempt to preserve its soul. And as we leave the Andes behind, our next stop takes us to a very different kind of mystery, a cryptic scroll. Its words pointing to silver and gold buried in the deserts of the Middle East. But that's a story that demands decoding. Now, let's shift our focus from the glittering mysteries of the Andes to an ancient text that reads like a treasure hunter's map, the Copper Scroll. Unlike the other Dead Sea Scrolls, which contain religious texts, this one is a literal guide to hidden riches, etched onto brittle sheets of copper to withstand time. Discovered in 1952 near the ruins of Qumran in the West Bank, it lists 64 locations where staggering amounts of silver and gold are said to be buried, with cryptic directions that have baffled scholars and adventurers for decades. What makes the Copper Scroll so fascinating is its brutal practicality. While other scrolls speak of prophecy or scripture, this one delivers cold, hard details, measurements in cubits, landmarks like ruined buildings or solitary trees, and even specific weights of treasure. For example, one entry describes 29 talents of silver buried under a staircase in a salt pit, while another points to a cache of gold hidden in a cave with 2 entrances. The total haul, an estimated 65 tons of silver and 26 tons of gold, worth billions today. But here's the catch. The scroll was written in a mix of Hebrew and Greek, with place names that no longer exist or were deliberately vague, as if the authors never intended for it to be easily decoded. Expeditions have chased these clues across modern-day Jordan and Israel, from the valleys near Jericho to the rugged hills of the Judean desert. In the 1960s, archaeologist John Allegretti led a team to a site called the Cave of the Column, where the scroll hinted at a deposit of priestly vestments and silver. They found nothing but an empty cavern. Decades later, another team used ground-penetrating radar near the Dead Sea, uncovering what they believed to be man-made tunnels, yet no treasure emerged. Skeptics argue the scroll might be a work of fiction, or that the treasures were looted centuries ago. But believers point to a tantalizing detail. The scroll mentions a second, identical copy, suggesting the original map was duplicated for safekeeping. If it exists, it could hold the missing key to this ancient puzzle. Theories about the scroll's origins are as intriguing as its contents. Some scholars believe it documents the hidden wealth of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, smuggled out before the Roman destruction in 70 AD. Others think it belonged to the Essenes, a reclusive Jewish sect who may have buried their communal treasures as Romans advanced. And then there's the wildcard theory that the scroll is a red herring designed to send looters on futile chases while the real treasure lies elsewhere. What's undeniable is the scroll's enduring allure. Unlike most lost treasures, this one comes with instructions. The challenge, translating 2,000-year-old clues into real-world coordinates. Modern technology like LiDAR and AI-powered translation tools have revived interest, but so far the Copper Scroll keeps its secrets. Perhaps the greatest treasure isn't the gold itself, but the relentless human curiosity to solve the unsolvable. And as we leave the deserts of the Middle East behind, our next stop plunges us into the world of high-stakes heists and vanished masterpieces. a glittering Cartier necklace once adorned with one of the largest diamonds ever found. But that's a tale of glamour, greed, and a disappearance as baffling as the treasure itself. Now, let's step into a world of opulence and intrigue where a legendary piece of jewelry vanished without a trace. The Patiala necklace, crafted by the famed House of Cartier in the 1920s, wasn't just any necklace, it was a staggering masterpiece, dripping with nearly 3,000 diamonds and a centerpiece that stole the show. The De Beers diamond, the seventh largest in the world at the time, weighing an astonishing 234 carats. Commissioned by Bhupinder Singh, the extravagant Maharaja of Patiala, this necklace was a symbol of India's royal splendor, designed to be worn like armor across the chest, a glittering statement of power and wealth. For decades, the necklace adorned the Maharaja and his successors, until it mysteriously disappeared from the royal treasury of Patiala in the 1940s. When it resurfaced decades later in London, it was a shadow of its former self. The De Beers diamond and most of the larger stones were gone, leaving behind a skeletal framework of platinum and smaller diamonds. Cartier eventually acquired the remains and painstakingly restored the necklace in 2001, using cubic zirconia and replica stones to recreate its original grandeur. But the fate of the real gems, especially the De Beers diamond, remains one of the most tantalizing mysteries in the world of lost treasures. Rumors swirl about what happened to the necklace's missing stones. Some speculate they were sold off piece by piece to fund the Maharaja's lavish lifestyle or to settle debts. Others whisper of black market deals, with the diamonds circulating among collectors who prefer to keep their acquisitions secret. One theory suggests the De Beers diamond was recut into smaller stones to make it untraceable, while another claims it's hidden away in a private vault awaiting rediscovery. The truth is, no one knows for sure, and that's what makes this story so compelling. The Patiala necklace's saga reflects a broader theme: the fragility of history's most precious objects. It's a reminder that even the most magnificent treasures can vanish, whether through theft, neglect, or the passage of time. Yet, the necklace's legacy endures, a ghost of its former glory that continues to captivate jewelers, historians, and treasure hunters alike. And as we leave behind the glittering mystery of the Patiala necklace, our journey takes us next to the scorching deserts of Arizona, where a different kind of treasure hunt has claimed lives and fueled legends. But that's a tale of greed, danger, and a mine that seems to vanish as quickly as it's found. But while the Patiala necklace's story is one of vanished opulence, our next treasure takes us into the rugged wilderness where greed and danger lurk beneath the desert sun. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine is a tale steeped in blood, betrayal, and a fortune that seems to slip through the fingers of anyone who dares to seek it. Nestled in Arizona's Superstition Mountains, this fabled mine is said to hold veins of gold so rich they glitter like fire in the sunlight. The story begins in the 19th century with a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz, nicknamed the Dutchman. According to lore, Waltz discovered the mine, or perhaps stole its secret from a murdered prospector, and spent years extracting gold in secrecy. On his deathbed in 1891, he reportedly gave cryptic directions to the mine's location, whispering of a landmark called the Weaver's Needle and a hidden entrance only visible at certain times of day. But here's where the mystery deepens. Despite countless expeditions, no one has ever convincingly proven they've found the Dutchman's mine. Instead, the Superstition Mountains have become a graveyard for treasure hunters. Over the past century, dozens of adventurers have vanished or died under suspicious circumstances, some succumbing to the harsh desert, others allegedly murdered to protect the mine's secret. One of the most chilling cases is that of Adolf Ruth, a prospector who disappeared in 1931. His skull was later found with a bullet hole, and a cryptic map was clutched in his hand. Modern searchers haven't fared much better. In 2009, a Utah man named Jesse Capon became obsessed with the legend, studying maps and journals for years before venturing into the mountains. He was found dead 3 years later, his body wedged in a crevice. Theories range from accidental falls to foul play, but one thing is clear: the mine guards its secrets fiercely. Even high-tech tools like ground-penetrating radar and satellite imaging have failed to pinpoint its location, if it exists at all. So why does this legend endure? Part of it is the sheer allure of untold wealth, but there's also the tantalizing possibility that the Dutchman's gold is still out there, waiting for someone clever or lucky enough to crack the code. Skeptics argue the mine might be a myth, a story inflated by time and desperation. Yet others point to small, inexplicable gold discoveries in the area, suggesting Waltz's treasure is real but deliberately obscured. What makes the Lost Dutchman story unique is its duality. It's both a treasure hunt and a cautionary tale. It reminds us that some secrets are buried for a reason, and that the price of curiosity can be deadly. As we move forward, our next treasure plunges us into the depths of the ocean, where a hurricane's fury scattered a king's ransom across the seafloor. But that's a story of storm, survival, and silver lost to the waves. Now, let's leave the treacherous mountains behind and set sail for the sunken riches of the San Miguel, a story where nature's fury, not human greed, became the thief. Picture this: the year is 1715, and a fleet of Spanish galleons, heavy with silver and emeralds from the New World, is caught in a hurricane off the coast of Florida. The San Miguel, one of the crown jewels of this fleet, vanishes beneath the waves, taking its fortune to the ocean floor. Unlike the Dutchman's mine, this treasure's location is no mystery. It's the recovery that's the challenge. The hurricane, sometimes called the Great Storm of 1715, scattered wreckage across nearly 50 miles of coastline from Cape Canaveral to Fort Pierce. 11 ships went down that night, and the San Miguel carried one of the richest hauls: chests of silver coins, gold bars, and Colombian emeralds meant to fill the coffers of King Philip V. For centuries, the seabed kept its secrets until modern technology and relentless treasure hunters began to piece together the puzzle. One of the most dramatic recoveries came in the 1960s, when a salvage team led by real-life treasure hunter Kip Wagner uncovered thousands of silver coins and artifacts near what's now known as the 1715 Fleet Shipwreck Site. But the San Miguel's exact resting place remained elusive until 2015, when another team, using advanced sonar imaging, identified a debris field littered with cannonballs and pottery hallmarks of a Spanish galleon. Then in 2020, divers hit the jackpot: a cache of emeralds, some as big as thumbs, nestled in the sand like forgotten jewels. What makes the San Miguel so compelling isn't just the treasure, it's the race against time. The shifting sands and corrosive saltwater mean every artifact recovered is a small miracle. And while some pieces, like the emeralds, emerge unscathed, others, like the silver coins, are often crusted over with centuries of marine growth requiring painstaking restoration. Legal battles add another layer of intrigue. Florida's strict salvage laws mean treasure hunters must share their finds with the state, turning every discovery into a high-stakes negotiation. But perhaps the real treasure here is the glimpse into history. Each coin and emerald tells a story of colonialism, piracy, and the perilous Atlantic crossings that shaped the modern world. And with an estimated $300 million worth of treasure still unfound, the hunt is far from over. As we dive deeper into the past, our next treasure leads us to an even older mystery, one tied to faith, empire, and a golden relic that vanished when Rome burned a temple to the ground. But that's a tale for another moment. Now, let's turn from the ocean's depths to the heart of ancient Jerusalem, where a sacred relic of immeasurable spiritual and historical significance vanished into the shadows of conquest. The menorah of the Second Temple, a towering, 7-branched golden candelabrum, was more than just a religious artifact. It was a symbol of divine light, crafted according to biblical instructions and central to Jewish worship for centuries. But its fate, like so many treasures, was sealed by the clash of empires. In the year 70 AD, Roman legions under Emperor Titus stormed Jerusalem, crushing a Jewish revolt and reducing the Second Temple to rubble. The menorah, along with other sacred objects, was carried through the streets of Rome as spoils of war, a moment immortalized on the Arch of Titus, where its likeness is carved in stark relief. This depiction is the last undisputed glimpse of the menorah's physical form. After the triumphal procession, the trail goes cold. Did it melt down for Roman gold? Was it hidden away, awaiting rediscovery, or does it still lie in some forgotten corner of the Vatican's vaults? As many believe, the Vatican theory is tantalizing. Historical accounts suggest the menorah was displayed in Rome's Temple of Peace before the city's sack by the Vandals in the 5th century. Some scholars argue it could have been returned to Constantinople and later taken by the Byzantines, while others insist it never left Rome. In the 1940s, a rabbi claimed to have seen the menorah in the Vatican storerooms, though no evidence has ever surfaced to confirm this. The Vatican itself denies possession, but the mystery persists, fueled by centuries of speculation and the occasional cryptic reference in medieval texts. On the other hand, skeptics point to the chaotic history of looted treasures in antiquity. The Roman Empire's fall scattered countless relics, and precious metals were often repurposed. The menorah may have been melted down during one of Rome's many crises, its gold reforged into coins or other objects, yet its symbolic power endures. For Jewish communities worldwide, the menorah represents resilience, a light that outlasts destruction. Modern replicas, like the one standing in Jerusalem today, keep its legacy alive, even as the original's whereabouts remain one of history's great enigmas. What makes this treasure unique isn't just its material value, but what it embodies. Unlike gold bars or gemstones, the menorah's worth is measured in faith and cultural memory. Its disappearance stretches beyond archaeology into the realm of myth and hope. And while technology has unearthed other lost treasures, the menorah resists discovery, as if guarding its secrets for a destined moment. But our journey isn't done yet. From the sacred to the spectacular, our next treasure takes us to the ocean floor again, where a modern-day adventurer's obsession unearthed a fortune hidden in the deep. Stay tuned, this story is worth its weight in silver. Now, let's set sail from ancient mysteries to a sunken fortune that turned one man's relentless dream into reality. The Nuestra Señora de Atocha wasn't just any Spanish galleon. It was a floating treasure chest packed with silver, gold, and emeralds from the New World, destined to bankroll the Spanish Empire. But in 1622, a hurricane off the Florida Keys sent it to the ocean floor, where it lay hidden for centuries, its riches guarded by time and tides. Enter Mel Fisher, a modern-day treasure hunter whose name became synonymous with the Atocha's legend. In the 1960s, Fisher became obsessed with finding the shipwreck, pouring years of effort and every dollar he had into the search. The challenge was staggering. The Atocha had vanished in a storm so violent that survivors described waves taller than the ship's masts. For 350 years, its exact location remained a puzzle, with only scattered clues. A few silver coins here, a cannon there hinting at its resting place. Fisher's team faced brutal setbacks, dangerous dives, financial ruin, and even tragedy when his son and daughter-in-law died during the search. But in 1985, perseverance paid off. Divers uncovered the motherlode, a mountain of silver bars, over 100,000 coins, and gold artifacts worth nearly $500 million today. The most breathtaking find, an emerald-studded cross now known as the Atocha Cross, a glittering testament to the ship's opulent cargo. What makes the Atocha's story extraordinary isn't just the treasure, it's the human drama behind it. Fisher's quest reshaped marine archaeology, proving that shipwrecks aren't just myths but tangible pieces of history waiting to be reclaimed. Even today, new finds emerge from the wreck site as currents shift and reveal long-buried secrets. And while much of the treasure now sits in museums or private collections, whispers linger that more of the Atocha's riches, perhaps its legendary emerald hoard still lie undiscovered beneath the sand. From golden menorahs to sunken galleons, these treasures remind us that history isn't just written in books, it's buried, lost, and sometimes against all odds found again. Up next, another glittering mystery, the fate of Imperial Russia's most exquisite creations, the lost Fabergé eggs. Their disappearance is as elaborate as the jewels that adorned them. Now, let's step into the lavish world of the Russian imperial court, where craftsmanship and opulence reached dazzling heights with the Fabergé eggs. These weren't just decorative trinkets, they were masterpieces of jewelry and artistry, each one a surprise-filled gift from the Tsars to their families, often hiding miniature treasures inside. Crafted by the House of Fabergé between 1885 and 1917, these eggs symbolized wealth, power, and the delicate beauty of a fading empire. But today, the whereabouts of several of these priceless creations remain a tantalizing mystery. Of the 50 imperial eggs known to have been made, 8 are still unaccounted for. Their disappearances trace back to the chaos of the Russian Revolution, when the Bolsheviks seized the royal family's possessions, scattering treasures across the globe. Some eggs were sold off to fund the new regime, ending up in the hands of private collectors. Others vanished into the shadows of history, their fates as enigmatic as the intricate mechanisms hidden inside them. Take the Necessaire egg, for example, a stunning piece last seen in 1952 when it was auctioned in London. Rumors swirl that it's tucked away in a private collection, its gem-studded exterior too recognizable to resurface publicly. Then there's the Royal Danish egg, a tribute to Tsar Alexander III's Danish roots. Documented in imperial records, it seemingly evaporated after the revolution. Some researchers believe it was dismantled for its precious materials, while others hold out hope it's gathering dust in an attic somewhere, waiting to be recognized. The most intriguing case, the Alexander III commemorative egg, lost after a 1922 sale in Paris. In a twist fit for a detective novel, a scrap metal dealer in the American Midwest nearly melted it down in the 1960s, unaware of its value, only for it to disappear again after he rescued it. Private collectors have played a dual role in this drama, both as saviors and as obstacles to rediscovery. Wealthy buyers like Malcolm Forbes amassed impressive collections, but some eggs remain hidden by owners wary of scrutiny or legal battles over their provenance. Recent years have offered glimmers of hope, though. In 2012, a scrap dealer bought a golden egg at a flea market for $14,000, only to discover it was the long-lost third imperial Easter egg worth millions. Stories like this fuel the belief that more Fabergé eggs could still surface, perhaps mislabeled in estate sales or overlooked in vaults. What makes these lost eggs so captivating isn't just their monetary worth, it's the artistry and history they embody. Each one tells a story of imperial romance, revolution, and resilience. And while some may never be found, the hunt for them keeps the legacy of Fabergé alive, a glittering reminder that even the grandest treasures can slip through the cracks of time. Next, we're diving into another watery grave, the S.S. Republic, a Civil War-era ship whose sinking left a fortune in gold coins strewn across the ocean floor, waiting for modern technology to bring its secrets to light. Now, let's shift our focus from the glittering mysteries of Fabergé eggs to the depths of the Atlantic, where a sunken fortune lies hidden beneath the waves. The story of the S.S. Republic is one of tragedy, treasure, and the relentless pull of the ocean. This side-wheel steamship, once a vital link in America's maritime trade, met its fate in 1865 during a brutal hurricane off the coast of Georgia. Packed with passengers, cargo, and a staggering fortune in gold and silver coins meant to rebuild the post-Civil War South, the Republic vanished beneath the waves, taking its precious cargo with it. For over a century, the ship's resting place remained a secret of the sea, its exact location lost to shifting sands and treacherous currents. But in 2003, a team of modern-day treasure hunters, armed with cutting-edge sonar technology and historical records, finally pinpointed the wreck nearly 1,700 feet below the surface. What they uncovered was nothing short of astonishing: a trove of over 51,000 gold and silver coins, minted in the era of Reconstruction, alongside artifacts that painted a vivid picture of life in the 1860s. The coins themselves tell a fascinating story. Many were freshly minted $20 gold pieces known as double eagles, intended to stabilize economies devastated by the Civil War. Others were silver coins, their faces etched with the likenesses of liberty and heralding a nation struggling to reunite. The sheer volume of recovered treasure, valued at over $150 million, makes this one of the most significant shipwreck discoveries in history. Yet the real treasure isn't just the gold. It's the glimpse into a pivotal moment in American history, frozen in time beneath the ocean. Recovering the Republic's treasure wasn't just a feat of technology, it was a triumph of patience and perseverance. The team faced brutal conditions, from crushing deep-sea pressure to the ever-present risk of equipment failure. But their efforts paid off, revealing not only wealth but also personal items, ceramics, bottles, even children's toys that humanized the tragedy. Each artifact served as a reminder of the 130 souls who perished when the ship went down, their stories echoing through the recovered objects. Today, the coins and relics from the S.S. Republic are coveted by collectors and historians alike, offering tangible connections to a fractured nation on the brink of renewal. And while the ship's physical treasure has been largely recovered, its legacy endures, reminding us that sometimes the richest discoveries aren't just about gold, they're about the lives and histories intertwined with it. Next, we're venturing into one of history's most enduring treasure mysteries, the Oak Island Money Pit, where centuries of excavation attempts have yielded tantalizing clues, but the ultimate prize remains just out of reach. Now, let's journey from the ocean's depths to the dense forests of Nova Scotia, where a different kind of mystery has captivated treasure hunters for more than 200 years. The Oak Island Money Pit isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a riddle wrapped in layers of engineering, legend, and a trail of tantalizing clues that have lured explorers to their ruin. The story begins in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel Maginnis stumbled upon a strange, circular depression in the earth with an old pulley hanging from a nearby tree. Digging deeper, he and his friends uncovered layers of oak logs, mysterious symbols, and even a cryptic stone inscribed with markings no one could decipher. This was no natural formation. Someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to bury something deep below the island, and to protect it with a series of elaborate traps, including a notorious flood tunnel system that would fill the shaft with seawater whenever treasure hunters got close. Over the centuries, the Money Pit has drawn everyone from wealthy industrialists to amateur sleuths, each convinced they could unlock its secrets. Excavation attempts have revealed bizarre artifacts, a scrap of parchment that some claim resembles Shakespearean manuscripts, a Spanish copper coin dated decades before Columbus reached the Americas, and even human bones that hint at a darker history. Theories about what's hidden here range from pirate loot, like Captain Kidd's treasure, to sacred relics like the Ark of the Covenant or even Marie Antoinette's lost jewels. But the deeper people dig, the more enigmatic the pit becomes. In 1861, a group called the Oak Island Association hit a layer of coconut fiber, a material not native to Nova Scotia, only to trigger the flood tunnels and watch their progress vanish underwater. In the 1970s, a team using modern drilling equipment pulled up flecks of gold and a single link of a gold chain, but the treasure itself remained frustratingly out of reach. Even today, with satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar, the island guards its secrets fiercely, as if the very earth conspires to keep them hidden. What makes Oak Island unique isn't just the treasure. It's the obsession it inspires. Generations of families have dedicated their lives to solving the puzzle, pouring fortunes into excavations that often end in disaster. 6 lives have been lost to the pit's treacherous depths, and countless others have been ruined financially. Yet the allure persists, fueled by cryptic clues like the so-called 90-foot stone, which allegedly held a coded message pointing to the treasure's location before it vanished in the early 20th century. Is the money pit an elaborate hoax, a natural sinkhole embellished by legend? Or is there truly something extraordinary buried beneath those oaks, something valuable enough to justify centuries of effort? The answer remains as elusive as the treasure itself, but one thing is certain: Oak Island isn't just a hunt for gold. It's a test of human ingenuity, patience, and the unshakable belief that somewhere just beyond reach lies a discovery that could rewrite history. Next, we'll step into the shadowy world of organized crime, where a daring heist left millions buried and a trail of bodies in its wake. The Lufthansa heist isn't just about stolen cash. It's a story of greed, betrayal, and the mob's iron grip on New York's underworld. Now, let's shift from the mysteries of buried treasure to a heist so audacious it became the stuff of legend, not in some remote jungle or ancient ruin, but in the heart of New York City. The Lufthansa heist wasn't just a robbery, it was a meticulously planned operation that netted its perpetrators nearly $6 million in cash and jewels, making it one of the largest thefts in American history at the time. And yet, what happened to that mountain of stolen money remains one of the most tantalizing unsolved mysteries of the criminal underworld. The story begins on a freezing December night in 1978, when a crew of mob associates, led by the ruthless Jimmy Burke, slipped into John F. Kennedy Airport's cargo terminal. Disguised as airline workers, they bypassed security with shocking ease, overpowering guards and cleaning out a Lufthansa cargo vault filled with untraceable cash, money meant for you. Soldiers stationed overseas along with a fortune in jewelry. The take was staggering, equivalent to roughly $26 million today. But the real drama unfolded after the heist, as the thieves quickly learned that stealing the money was the easy part. Keeping it and staying alive proved nearly impossible. Jimmy Burke, a feared associate of the Lucchese crime family, was the mastermind behind the operation. But his real talent wasn't just planning heists, it was making people disappear. In the months following the robbery, key members of the crew began vanishing, their bodies dumped in shallow graves or dissolved in acid. Burke's motive was simple: dead men couldn't talk, and he was determined to keep the FBI at bay. Yet, despite his efforts, whispers persisted that much of the loot was never recovered. Some believe Burke buried millions in cash across New York under houses, in junkyards, even beneath the bustling streets of Queens. The most persistent rumor that a portion of the treasure lies hidden near a now-defunct auto shop once owned by Burke's associates, a spot rumored to be littered with booby traps to deter treasure hunters. The heist's legacy was immortalized in the film Goodfellas, but Hollywood only scratched the surface. The real mystery revolves around the missing millions. Over the years, small amounts of cash surfaced, some in the hands of mobsters' wives, some in safety deposit boxes, but the bulk of the haul gone. Perhaps it was laundered through casinos or smuggled overseas. Or maybe, as some investigators suspect, it's still out there, waiting to be found beneath the concrete and chaos of New York. What makes the Lufthansa treasure unique is its dark allure. This isn't gold hidden by pirates or emperors, it's blood money, tied to a trail of betrayal and violence. And while Jimmy Burke died in prison, taking his secrets to the grave, the legend of his buried fortune lives on, a ghostly reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures come with the highest price. Next, we'll venture across the globe to the Philippines, where wartime loot and a general's hidden hoard have sparked a treasure hunt steeped in controversy. The story of Yamashita's gold isn't just about wealth, it's a puzzle wrapped in the shadows of World War II. But now, let's leave the gritty streets of New York behind and journey to the lush, war-torn landscapes of the Philippines, where an even darker treasure legend awaits. This isn't just about hidden wealth, it's about the shadows of World War II and a general whose name became synonymous with stolen gold, Tomoyuki Yamashita. As the war reached its brutal climax in 1945, Japanese forces under General Yamashita's command were accused of systematically looting gold, art, and priceless artifacts across Southeast Asia. The treasure, rumored to be worth billions today, was allegedly hidden in a network of tunnels and caves across the Philippines, meant to fund Japan's last stand or a future resurgence. But when Yamashita surrendered, he took the locations of these caches to his grave literally. Executed for war crimes in 1946, his silence sparked one of history's most obsessive treasure hunts. The legends are as elaborate as they are contentious. Stories speak of tunnels booby-trapped with explosives, gold bars stacked beneath waterfalls, and even the alleged involvement of shadowy figures like President Ferdinand Marcos, who is said to have secretly recovered portions of the hoard. In the 1970s, a Filipino locksmith named Rogelio Roxas claimed he'd found a golden Buddha statue and thousands of gold bars in a tunnel near Baguio City, only for the treasure to be seized by Marcos's forces. Roxas's subsequent legal battle, which dragged on for decades, became a symbol of the murky intersection between myth, greed, and power. Yet for every believer, there's a skeptic. Historians point out that no concrete evidence, no ship manifests, no military records confirms the existence of Yamashita's gold on the scale often claimed. Some argue the legend was inflated by post-war propaganda or opportunistic treasure hunters. Even the U.S. government has weighed in, with declassified documents suggesting that while looting occurred, the idea of vast hidden stashes might be more fantasy than fact. But the allure persists. Modern-day hunters, armed with ground-penetrating radar and old maps, still scour the Philippines, chasing whispers of tunnel systems near Baguio or the caves of Luzon. Legal battles over ownership flare up regularly, with governments, families of wartime victims, and private claimants all vying for a piece of the phantom hoard. What makes Yamashita's gold so haunting isn't just the potential wealth. It's the unresolved trauma behind it. This is treasure soaked in the suffering of war, pillaged from occupied nations, and tied to a chapter many would rather forget. Whether the gold exists or not, the legend endures, a testament to humanity's endless fascination with lost fortunes and the secrets they bury. Next, we'll turn our attention to a different kind of mystery, one written in code. The Beale ciphers have taunted treasure hunters for over a century, promising a fortune in Virginia gold to anyone clever enough to crack their cryptic clues. But as we'll see, some codes are meant to stay broken. Now, let's unravel a mystery that hinges not on hidden tunnels or wartime plunder, but on the tantalizing power of a code. The Beale ciphers have baffled treasure hunters and cryptographers alike for over a century, offering a fortune in Virginia gold to anyone who can crack their enigmatic messages. The story begins in 1819 when a Virginia innkeeper named Robert Morris received a locked box from a guest named Thomas Beale. Beale, a shadowy figure claiming to lead a band of adventurers, entrusted Morris with the box and a set of 3 encrypted papers. Decades later, when Beale never returned, Morris opened the box to find pages of numbers and one startling revelation. The second cipher had been decoded, revealing a description of buried treasure worth millions today. Gold, silver, and jewels stashed in a secret location near Bedford, Virginia. But the other 2 ciphers, one detailing the treasure's exact location, the other listing its owners, remained unsolved. What makes the Beale ciphers so maddening is their duality. The decoded second letter feels like a genuine clue describing the hoard's contents in vivid detail, yet the other 2 resist every attempt at decryption. Theories abound. Some believe the ciphers rely on a specific key text, like the Declaration of Independence, which cracked the second code. Others suspect a hoax, pointing to inconsistencies in Beale's story or the lack of physical evidence. Skeptics note that no one has ever found a trace of Beale's treasure or even confirmed his existence. The hunt has drawn everyone from amateur sleuths to the U.S. government. In the late 19th century, a pamphlet published the ciphers, igniting public fascination. Over the years, would-be solvers have tried everything from Shakespearean texts to complex mathematical models, but none have succeeded. Even modern supercomputers have hit dead ends. The few who claim breakthroughs often offer vague or contradictory solutions, leaving the mystery intact. Yet the allure is undeniable. The Beale ciphers tap into something primal, the idea that ordinary people, armed with wit and perseverance, could unlock extraordinary wealth. Treasure hunters still comb the hills around Bedford, armed with metal detectors and faded maps. Local legends speak of landmarks mentioned in the Decoded letter, a large boulder, a creek bend, but no one has connected them to the missing gold. What's most fascinating isn't the treasure itself, but the puzzle's endurance. In an age where technology can decode almost anything, the Beale ciphers stand as a rare enigma, a reminder that some secrets refuse to yield. Whether a genuine treasure map or an elaborate ruse, the ciphers have outlasted their era, captivating generation after generation. Next, we'll shift from coded letters to a legendary blade lost in the chaos of war. The Honjo Masamune isn't just a sword, it's a masterpiece of craftsmanship, and its disappearance remains one of history's most poignant mysteries. Turning our attention from cryptic codes to a weapon of legendary artistry, let's explore the fate of the Honjo Masamune, a sword that transcends mere metal to embody Japan's soul. Forged in the 13th century by the master swordsmith Goro Nudo Masamune, this blade wasn't just a tool of war, it was a national treasure, passed down through generations of shoguns and samurai, each scratch on its surface whispering stories of honor and upheaval. The Honjo Masamune's disappearance is tied to one of history's most tumultuous chapters, the aftermath of World War II. In 1945, as part of Japan's surrender, the Allied occupation forces ordered all civilian and military swords to be confiscated and destroyed to disarm the nation. The Tokugawa family, who had safeguarded the blade for centuries, reluctantly handed it over to authorities, but here's where the trail goes cold. The sword vanished, likely bundled with thousands of others shipped to the United States as war trophies or scrap metal. What makes this loss so devastating is the sword's cultural weight. Masamune's blades are revered in Japan like Stradivarius violins in the West, each one a fusion of spiritual harmony and technical perfection. The Honjo Masamune, named after a general who survived a strike from it in battle, was the crown jewel, its curved steel etched with a grain pattern resembling swirling mist. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of Japan's feudal identity, a tangible link to the samurai code of Bushido. Theories about its fate are as sharp as the blade itself. Some believe it was smuggled out by a collector, while others insist it's gathering dust in a U.S. military warehouse mislabeled among mundane artifacts. The most tantalizing clue came in the 1950s, when a sword matching its description surfaced in California, only to disappear again after being appraised. The U.S. government has no official record of its confiscation, leaving room for hope or heartbreak. Efforts to locate the sword have been as meticulous as its crafting. Historians and metallurgists have scoured auction records and private collections, while Japanese officials periodically appeal for its return. The challenge. Many Masamune swords exist, and without the Honjo's unique mounting or paperwork, verification is nearly impossible. What remains is a haunting legacy. The Honjo Masamune's absence reflects a broader cultural rupture, the dissolution of Japan's warrior class and the fragility of heritage in wartime. Unlike gold or jewels, its value can't be measured in weight or carats. For collectors, it's the holy grail of swords. For Japan, it's a missing piece of its heart. As we move from the silent fate of a blade to the briny depths of the Atlantic, our next treasure takes us to a shipwreck shrouded in legal intrigue and silver coins. The Black Swan project isn't just about wealth. It's a modern-day pirate tale with a high-tech twist. Now, let's dive from the silent mystery of a lost sword to the high-stakes drama of modern treasure hunting, where deep-sea salvagers and courtroom battles collide. The Black Swan project isn't just a story of sunken silver. It's a 21st-century odyssey that rewrote the rules of underwater discovery. In 2007, the Florida-based company Odyssey Marine Exploration made headlines when they announced the recovery of over 500,000 silver coins from an Atlantic shipwreck worth a staggering $500 million. Codenamed the Black Swan Project, this haul was one of the most lucrative in marine archaeology history. But here's the twist: the wreck's identity sparked an international legal firestorm. Odyssey claimed they'd found a nameless merchant vessel, while Spain insisted it was the Nuestra Señora de los Mercedes, a Spanish frigate sunk by the British in 1804. Why did it matter? Because maritime law dictates that sovereign vessels remain the property of their nation, even centuries later. The technology behind the discovery was as impressive as the treasure itself. Odyssey's team used cutting-edge remotely operated vehicles, or ROV, to scour the ocean floor at depths of over 1,000 meters. Their prize, coins minted in Peru along with gold artifacts, all preserved in the cold, dark silence of the Atlantic. But the real challenge began when the coins reached the surface. Spain sued, arguing the wreck was a protected war grave and its cargo cultural heritage. The case dragged on for years, reaching U.S. federal courts and even invoking 18th-century treaties. What makes the Black Swan saga so fascinating is its ethical gray zone. Treasure hunters argue they rescue history from oblivion, while archaeologists warn against looting for profit. Odyssey's founder, Greg Stem, defended the mission as a blend of entrepreneurship and preservation, but critics accused the company of prioritizing silver over stories. The legal resolution: in 2012, a U.S. court ordered Odyssey to return the treasure to Spain, a landmark ruling that reshaped underwater archaeology. Today, the coins are displayed in Spanish museums, their journey from seabed to courtroom a cautionary tale about who owns the past. Yet, the Black Swan's legacy endures. It proved shipwrecks are still lucrative targets, but also exposed the fragile balance between discovery and diplomacy. For every coin recovered, there's a question: should the deep sea's treasures be mined or memorialized? As we shift from modern salvage to the most famous wreck of all, our next stop is the icy depths where the Titanic's secrets still linger. From the legal battles of the Black Swan, we now descend into one of history's most haunting depths, the Titanic. This isn't just a shipwreck, it's a time capsule of Edwardian opulence frozen in the abyss. While countless artifacts have been recovered, china, luggage, even a perfectly preserved bowler hat, some of the Titanic's most legendary treasures remain lost, shrouded in mystery and saltwater. Take, for instance, the rumored diamond necklace immortalized as the heart of the ocean in James Cameron's film. Though Hollywood embellished the tale, the Titanic did carry real jewels, including a first-class passenger's collection of rare gems insured for over $300,000 in 1912, equivalent to millions today. Yet, despite decades of expeditions, no trace of these stones has surfaced. Were they locked in a safe, now buried under silt, or scattered across the ocean floor in the ship's violent breakup? Then there's the literary treasure, a first-edition copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, bound in Morocco leather and encrusted with 1,500 gemstones. This gilded book, dubbed the most valuable in the world at the time, was aboard the Titanic as part of a London bookseller's shipment. Its current whereabouts unknown. Some speculate it lies intact in the debris field, its jewels gleaming in the dark like a ghostly lure. Others believe the organic materials dissolved long ago, leaving only a glittering skeleton of gold and jewels. But the most poignant losses are personal. Among the unrecovered artifacts is a rare Stradivarius violin, played by bandleader Wallace Hartley as the ship sank. Eyewitnesses claimed he strapped it to his body, but neither the instrument nor Hartley's remains were found. The violin's fate torments historians. Could it still be preserved in the icy pressures of the deep, or did it drift away on the currents? Modern technology offers tantalizing clues. Recent scans reveal untouched trunks in the debris, possibly containing unclaimed valuables. Yet ethical debates rage. Should these items be retrieved or left as memorials to the 1,500 lives lost? The Titanic's wreck is now protected by UNESCO, balancing preservation against the human urge to uncover its secrets. As we navigate from these icy depths, our next treasure plunges us into the chaos of World War II, where a Nazi train, rumored to groan with gold, vanishes into the mountains of Poland. From the icy depths of the Titanic, we now journey into the shadowy aftermath of World War II, where whispers of hidden Nazi gold have fueled decades of obsession. In the small Polish town of Wolbozich, a legend persists. A train, its cargo cars groaning with looted treasure, was secretly buried in a tunnel as the Third Reich crumbled. The story first gained traction in 1945, when a German miner allegedly confessed on his deathbed that he helped hide an armored train packed with gold, artwork, and even weapons. For years, it was dismissed as folklore, until two treasure hunters came forward in 2015, claiming they'd found it using ground-penetrating radar. The announcement sent shockwaves through Poland. Officials cordoned off the alleged site near the 65th kilometer of the Wrocław-Wolbozich railway, where radar images showed anomalies resembling train cars. The world held its breath, imagining a modern-day El Dorado filled with stolen Nazi wealth, perhaps even the long-lost Amber Room panels or the fabled gold of Breslau. But as experts scanned deeper, skepticism grew. Geologists pointed out that the shapes could easily be natural rock formations or wartime debris. When drills finally bored into the site, they found nothing but soil and rubble. So where did the myth begin? Historians trace it to the Nazis' frantic efforts to hide plunder as Soviet forces closed in. Wolbozich, then part of Germany, was a hub for secret underground projects, including the massive Reese tunnel complex built by forced laborers. Some argue the gold train was a deliberate diversion to protect other caches, like the rumored hoard beneath the nearby Caesar's castle. Others believe it simply never existed, a warped memory of actual gold transfers that passed through the region. Yet the allure remains. Even after scientific surveys debunk the train's existence, treasure hunters still comb the Owl Mountains with metal detectors. The Polish government, wary of reckless digging, now requires permits for searches. What's undeniable is the scale of Nazi looting. Over $600 million in gold alone vanished in the war's chaos, much of it likely melted down or scattered. The Wolbozich train may be a ghost, but its legend keeps alive the unresolved story of history's greatest theft. As we leave behind these mountains of speculation, our final treasure takes us to the rivers of the American South, where sunken Confederate ships may hold secrets of their own. Now, let's set our sights on the murky waters of North Carolina's rivers, where the remnants of a forgotten Confederate fleet may still hold secrets. Near the end of the Civil War, as Union forces closed in, the Confederacy made a desperate move, scuttling dozens of their own ships to block vital waterways. Among them was the so-called Mosquito Fleet, a ragtag assembly of steamboats, gunboats, and even repurposed civilian vessels. But here's where the mystery deepens. Rumors persist that some of these sunken ships weren't just sacrificial barriers, they were floating vaults, carrying payroll gold, weapons, or even smuggled valuables meant to fund the struggling Southern cause. The most tantalizing target is the CSS Appomattox, a paddle-wheel steamer intentionally sunk in the Roanoke River in 1865. Eyewitness accounts from the era claim it was laden with gold coins intended for Confederate troops, a last-ditch effort to pay soldiers as the war crumbled. Divers have searched the silt-heavy riverbed for decades, but the Appomattox remains elusive, its hull likely buried under layers of sediment. Then there's the CSS Beaufort, a gunboat scuttled near Kinston, North Carolina. Local legends speak of crates of rifles and possibly even silverware pillaged from plantations, though no concrete evidence has surfaced. What makes these wrecks so intriguing is their sheer unpredictability. Unlike organized naval fleets, the Mosquito fleet was hastily assembled, and records of their cargo were often destroyed or lost. Some historians argue that if treasure exists, it's more likely to be scattered personal effects, soldiers' pay, or smuggled family heirlooms than a concentrated hoard. Others point to the infamous Confederate gold myth, a broader theory that millions in bullion were hidden across the South. Could parts of it lie beneath these rivers? Modern searchers face daunting challenges. North Carolina's waterways are notorious for shifting currents and visibility so poor that even sonar struggles to map the wrecks accurately. Yet the hunt continues. In 2018, a team using advanced magnetometers claimed to locate the Appomattox's boiler, though funding shortages halted further excavation. Meanwhile, amateur historians pore over old maps and diaries, convinced that clues to the fleet's secrets still linger in faded ink. Whether these rivers guard actual treasure or simply the ghosts of a desperate era, the Mosquito Fleet story is a poignant footnote in Civil War history. It's a reminder that loss isn't always about gold sometimes, it's about the untold stories swallowed by time and tide. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through history's greatest lost treasures. And so, after unraveling the stories of 25 lost treasures from the sacred Ark of the Covenant to the sunken secrets of the Mosquito Fleet, we're left with more than just tales of gold and jewels. These mysteries are windows into the past, each one reflecting the hopes, struggles, and ingenuity of the people who lived through them. Think about it. The vanished Library of Alexandria wasn't just a building full of scrolls. It was humanity's first attempt to gather all knowledge in one place. The Amber Room, a dazzling symbol of diplomacy torn apart by war. Even the humble ships at the bottom of North Carolina's rivers whisper of a nation divided, desperate to survive. What ties these treasures together isn't just their material value, but the questions they force us to ask. Did the Knights Templar really hide their fortune, or was it a myth to fuel centuries of obsession? Could the Inca gold still lie untouched in the Andes, waiting for a lucky explorer? And what about those Fabergé eggs? Are they gathering dust in a private collection, or were they lost to time? Every theory, every expedition keeps these stories alive, turning history into a living, breathing puzzle. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these treasures captured your imagination? Do you think the Ark rests in Ethiopia, or is the menorah of the Second Temple really hidden in the Vatican? Drop your theories in the comments below. We love diving into these debates with you. And if you're hungry for more historical mysteries, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're always digging up new stories, from forgotten shipwrecks to legendary heists, and we'd love for you to join the adventure. History isn't just about dates and dusty artifacts, it's about the human drama behind them. So whether you're here for the gold, the intrigue, or the sheer thrill of the unknown, thanks for exploring these lost treasures with us. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to crack one of these ancient mysteries.